a very warm welcome to Hickstead and the first day of our live coverage of this iconic horse show. Over 50 of the world's best riders representing 9 countries are here this weekend, and it all culminates on Sunday and the FEI Jumping Nations Cup of Great Britain. Today, though, it's all about the Grand Prix class, the King George V Gold Cup, and what a trophy it is. 47 riders are in contention for this one. The prize fund on offer is €150,000. It's the most prestigious class of the show. And James Fisher is alongside me. James, what a trophy to claim today.
It is fantastic. I don't always get so close to this, but it's hot as well.
It's solid gold, this trophy. It's almost
amazing.
Invaluable. It's worth so much. It's actually a security guard watching us like hawks to make sure we don't run off with it. Now let's talk about today's class, because the Grand Prix is the first big class of the week here, and a bit unusual to be having it on the Friday.
It does come out. It's a little bit of a change around because we've got the Nations Cup on Sundays. Maybe for some riders, if the Nations Cup had been Friday, they would have felt a bit more confident of jumping that horse again, but perhaps going in such a big class as this and the Nations Cup, it would maybe something might happen, so they would hold back. But we've got some great competitors in it, and it's always such a, it's probably, for me, it's one of the most famous classes ever, really, and there's just such legends that we were brought up with have won it. David Broom's won it 6 times, and you know, as you go through, I was just glancing here, Gert Wiltfang was world champion, and there's Penwood Forge Mill, there's Piero Dinzeo won it. I think Michael Whittaker's won it 4 times, Nick Skelton 4 times, Robert Smith 3 times, John Whittaker 3 times. It just goes on. It's just, you know, it's one of those classes that everybody knows about. They follow it, and because it's been competed indoors and outdoors, I think since the 30s, it's just such a big moment to win this class.
It really is one that all the riders here this weekend want to win. We haven't seen a British winner since Ben Mayer won it back in 2013. He's in action today. How do you fancy his chances, and what other riders are you really looking forward to seeing?
Well, Ben Mayer, you know, he's on such great form. He's, you know, with Explosion, and you know, he's done so well this season. Everything he rides, whatever he's on form. So he's got, you know, great chances. There's a very strong foreign contingent. I mean, BZ Madden won it back in sort of 2014 to 15 with Cortez.
Twice in a row.
Twice in a row, you know, the first lady to win it. Billy Toomey with Lizzie Mary. It's a very difficult one to predict because it's not a regular sort of course that people see today. We've got this legendary gates, double gates, which cashes a lot of people out, the water ditches. It's not, you know, everybody's cup of tea compared to what else you see sort of week in, week out, you know, across the county, so and the world, really. So it's a difficult one. It's a tricky one to pick the right horse, tricky one to pick the right winner.
Absolutely, and Bob Ellis does build a very challenging track. It's worth mentioning, of course, like the rest of the UK, Hickstead has been in a bit of a heat wave the last few weeks, but they've been working incredibly hard here. Over 9 million litres of water have been spread across the showground to make sure that not only does it look fantastic here, but also that it's nice and safe underfoot for the horses. And the whole show really is looking absolutely glorious in the sunshine. The crowds have been pouring in all week. Today is our first of our live coverage, but the competition started here on Tuesday, and there's been plenty to entertain the crowds pouring in ever since. Yesterday, cross country took centre stage with the MS Amlin Eventers Challenge taking over the International Arena, and what an entertaining class it was. The Derby Bank was in play. Always great to see that in action. Of course, today is all about the Grand Prix. Some of the best of Britons in action ahead of the Nations Cup on Sunday. And Team GB chef to keep, Di Lampard, is one of the people who is very excited to be back at this incredibly special show.
It's so special. The history of this place, it would take us far too long to go into, but it was created as the All England jumping course, and it has carried on to be in the same league as Aachen, Calgary, Dublin. This is top class. We are so lucky to have, as the British riders, to have this venue. We get really good support from the public here at Hickstead. They tend to flood in over the weekend, especially with weather conditions like this. There's such a expanse of ground that they can picnic on, they can enjoy, bring all the family, all ages, and watch everything through from the ponies right through to top-class international show jumping. You know, to look forward this afternoon to the King George Cup, what a competition. You know, it's always actually been usually for the male riders years ago. Now it's the Grand Prix of the show. And, you know, we've got riders from all over the world competing here this afternoon, and it's going to be a great spectacle. And as long as we have a British win, that'll be great. I'm so looking forward to what's ahead of us now. We've got the King George Cup this afternoon, we've got the Queen Elizabeth Cup, followed by the Nations Cup. What more can we ask for in a weekend of show jumping?
What more indeed, Di. It really does promise us to be a fantastic few days of jumping, starting this afternoon with the famous King George V Gold Cup. A reminder as well that it's not just 150,000 euros on offer. There's also world ranking points, a chance to qualify for next year's Europeans, and it's a World Equestrian Games qualifier. So some of the riders today hoping to make it to North Carolina at the last chance. So without further ado, let's join your commentary team for this afternoon and the King George V Gold Cup.
Good afternoon and welcome to the All England jumping course here at Hickstead in the south of England. And we're here to cover one of the most prestigious show jumping competitions in Europe, the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. Abbreviated to the Grand Prix for this weekend here at Hickstead. And 47 riders representing 9 nations coming forward to try to win this prestigious trophy. And what a super view that is of this historical ground, first used in 1962. And let's just have a look at some of the competitors. Well, we've got representatives from Italy, 5 riders from Italy, and there's 17 of the 47 riders represent Great Britain. Amanda Derbyshire being a member of the Longines FEI Nations Cup jumping team this year. Louise Saywell, father, has won this class back in the 70s. One of the top riders from Belgium, Jos Verlooy, here with Igor, horse on which he's already had success with this week.
5 minutes
Lauren Hoff, one of the 2 riders representing the USA, based in the UK. Daniel Meach, great to have a representative from New Zealand here at Hickstead. Robert Smith, 3 times winner of this trophy. We'll talk more about that later. Riding Ilton, who won here yesterday. Johnny Poole's on top form after a Nations Cup win in Falsterbo 2 weeks ago. And Ben Mayer, also a previous winner of the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. Harriet Nuttall, well, we'll talk a lot more about Harriet, but this arena is very special to her. She's been here many times and had great success, but still a comparatively young rider. Jessie Dre, just up the road, one of the closest riders to here. And Philippe Amaral for Brazil, who was successful here last year. John Whittaker looking for his 4th win in the King George V Gold Cup. Anna Power, formerly Anna Edwards from West Country. Shane Breen, based here in Hickstead. Giorgio Bucci been in good form. Andrea, the horse he rides today in Nations Cups over the last few weeks. And William Funnell, likewise Billy Buckingham, the horse on which he won the Hickstead Derby here, and the horse on which he had clear jumping faults in Falsterbo in the World Cup, in the Nations Cup a couple of weeks ago. Henri van Eckermann, European team silver medalist from the European Championships, a leading light in the Swedish teams in the last few years. Willem Vermeer, Belgium, who are in a very good form at the moment. He's here also to jump on Sunday in the Nations Cup. Who else have we got? For Italy, Massimo Grazzato. Angelica Horn for the Netherlands. The Netherlands must never be written off, and they are in flying form. And Willem Grieve for the Netherlands also in that batch. Now down to the last 5 riders. And 5 nations. We've got four nations. Joanna Ekberg and Fredrik Jonsson make up the Swedish 5 riders in this class. Gudrun Petit, another globetrotter for Belgium, and last to go will be for Ireland, Anthony Condon. Well, that's a brief look at the 47 competitors. Traditional Table A, 2 rounds, clears go into a jump-off. And that is the fabulous scene of this most historic of show jumping venues in the world, on a par with the likes of Calgary and Aachen in Germany. But let's have a look at the course, set by Kelvin Bywater. An Oxer to start, then 7 strides down to a 156 upright, and then a switchback to fence 3, another upright, Longines upright 158, then a sloping downhill to the Longines combination. Oxer 1 stride over an upright, and then 2 strides over an Oxer, 155 wide coming out. Left-handed to the well-known very wide water, the 4-metre wide water here at Hickstead, and white balustrades on the takeoff line. Slightly left-handed to the double of Hickstead gates, 1 stride in between. Then another switchback to an upright, which will be fence 7, and this is at the maximum height of 1.60 m. 4 strides down to an Oxer, 160 wide, 151 the back rail. Left-handed down to another maximum, that's the Hickstead planks, 1.60 m, down to the double of ditches, an upright out over an Oxer, 1 stride in between, 2 to go. This is fence 11, obstacle 11, and then down to the last 5 strides down to that upright, and that is the first round course for the 2018 Longines King George V Gold Cup. The course designer Kelvin Bywater, and the time allowed 82 seconds. And 12 jumping efforts, 12 obstacles, 16 jumping efforts, and the confirmation of the time of 82 seconds. And Kelvin Bywater is the course designer, assisted by Bob Ellis, 2 of the great international course designers. Well, despite the unbelievably dry weather we've had here, of course, Hickstead been able to maintain this hallowed turf here in this arena. And this competition, the King George V Gold Cup, goes back to 1911. It was actually first came to Hickstead at the Royal International Horse Show, which is its traditional home. The Royal International Horse Show moved from Birmingham, the UK, to Hickstead in 1992. Looking back down the winners that are not riding today, the rider that's won the most times in this competition, David Brooms, won it 6 times, Olympic champion Nick Skelton 4 times, and Michael Whittaker 4 times. They happen to be British riders that have won it the most times, but of course we've had some other great names, namely in 1965 and 68, the great Hans Gunther Winkler won, and of course recently passed away. He won here twice in the 60s. Well, now we come back to the next century, because we're here in 2018 looking to see who will be taking the mantle from last year's winner, Yuri Mansur for Brazil, who's not here this year. Great Britain, who've not won this trophy since 2013, but we're starting with Ricardo Hasani for Italy. Riding the 9-year-old stallion, Chaco. Right, Chaco Blue. Chaco Blue, one of the top stallions in the world at the moment, producing great jumpers. Ricardo Hasani, who's been in the money here at Hickstead this week already. Ricardo Hasani, Chaco for Italy. Seven strides. He just got too close to that second. That's slightly uphill, that rise to the second. 1.56 m, the height of it. 8 strides is taken down to the Longines combination. Absolutely perfect there, and that's just rolling downhill slightly towards the in and out gate, just off our screens. And now the gallop to the big 4 metre wide. Wow, took off a long way and landed a long way. It's 4 metres wide. I think Chaco jumped about 6 metres there, but didn't jump there at all. Just a 9-year-old, so comparatively young. Several 9-year-olds in the course. Those gates, double the gate, standing 1.57, 1.57 m. Klaxon goes to confirm that the fence is built, so over the railway gates. No time, no trouble, I should say, coming into the second time for Ricardo Hasani. £1.60 m, that maximum height. The famous Hickstead planks, one of the fences used in the Hickstead Derby. And down to the last. Well, he looks up at the screen, naturally got time penalties due to having that stop, so 10 penalties in all for Ricardo Hasani and Chaco for Italy. First of the 47 competitors. Just didn't get the right striding coming into that double of gates, bearing in mind they'd just done the big stretch over the water, of which, as I say, I think he probably jumped 6 metres. A great water jumper, clearly, this 9-year-old, but unfortunately undoing at the railway gates. So Ricardo Hasani leaves us on 10 penalties with Chaco. We now move on to rider number 3 in the list, Gregory Whittaker for Belgium. Francisco Jose Mesquita Musa for Brazil. He's lost a shoe, so Gregory's coming in out of order. We'll see Francisco Jose later on. So Gregory Whittaker for Belgium with Calido 3. 10-year-old Hanoverian bred. Gregory. Olympic rider for Belgium. In the top 20 in the world, currently 16 in the Longines FEI global rankings. And although he's not taken part in the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup series so far this year, he another good jump over the water. He's been a regular member of Belgian teams. Perfect. Beautifully through the gates, in fact. down to the last line. Plank set at 1.60 m. Double of ditches. Looked at it. Kalido I'm talking about, but what a super honest horse. And what a super... Oh, well, spoke too soon. Just that last down. That was a superb round. Just looking at the time, 77 seconds. Time allowed 82. So 5 seconds inside the time. So the time looks very generous. Lovely shot of him landing over the water. So the last fence down for Gregory Wathelet. For Belgium, 4 faults for Gregory Wathelet. Kalido 3. Now we move on to the powerhouse of the Netherlands, who over the last 5 or 6 years have taken the Europeans, the World Championships, Nations Cup final. Never ending list of great riders with good young up-and-coming riders like this man. Kevin Jochems for the Netherlands with Captain Cooper. A horse that Kevin had in Falsterbo in Sweden, jumped very well with Captain Cooper. Kevin, who's won medals. Oh, clever. Won medals for the Netherlands himself. That's in young riders and juniors, so he's been up through the ranks. Now at the sharp end of the sport with the seniors. Dutch-bred 11-year-old Captain Cooper. Made that look very, very easy indeed. Penultimate fence, the Oxer, just one to go. Is this going to be our first clear? Are the Netherlands going to be? Yes, they are. I was going to say in front at this stage, something we're getting used to. But that's a very good clear indeed from Kevin Jochems and Captain Cooper. Really is a lovely horse. Jumped superbly in Falsterbo as well. So a delightful start for Chef de Keep Rob Ahrens for the Netherlands as their first of 4 riders in this class goes clear. That's the first clear. Kevin Jochems, Captain Cooper for the Netherlands. Now we move to one of the 17 competitors representing our hosts here at Hickstead for Great Britain. Amanda Derbyshire riding a roulette. Roulette, 9-year-old. And Derbyshire, who's been coached by Olympic champion Nick Skelton and resides most of the time in Wellington in Florida. And all the Brits, wherever they're based, love to come back to the All England jumping course here at Hickstead. Well, that was equally impressive, but Roulette just getting strong, clearly. Can she get him back? Well ridden. Represented Great Britain in one Nations Cup this year, not on Roulette, in fact. 1.60 metre upright. Still got hold of the brakes at the moment. One to go. Will this be a clear for Great Britain? Pops over the last. Plenty of time on the clock. Amanda Derbyshire, she has made it the first clear for Great Britain. Her arms are 2 inches longer now than they were at the start of the competition, but she is in the jump off for Great Britain. So we've got already 2 clears. We've had 4 competitors. Kevin Yockham's, Amanda Derbyshire, and look at this beautiful leap over the water, and now you just see, oh, you didn't actually quite there, how Amanda struggled to get back for that double of railway gates, but that was very well ridden indeed. Stay with Great Britain. 28-year-old Louise Saywell riding the 10-year-old mare Golden Waver well. Well, Louise looking to emulate her father Michael, who won the Longines King George V Gold Cup back in 1976 on Chain Bridge. In those days, this competition only open to male riders, but 8 years ago the rules were changed to include ladies as well. 8 faults down, 2 down at the moment for Louise Saywell. In between those 2, oh, just far too low, coming out over the Oxer. 48, the top bar at the Oxer and the last down. So Louise Saywell for Great Britain finishes on 16 penalties. Time allowed 82 seconds, and it looks like that's not going to play much of a factor in this class, well, certainly in the first round of the class. Well, we now go back to Belgium. Jos Verlooy riding Igor, jumped in 2 Nations Cups this year, and Jos rode a double clear in Rotterdam on this horse. Hard to think that this young man, still 24, 25 years old. We've seen him jumping at this level now for several years, remembering that great Las Vegas World Cup final back in 2015 when he so nearly won the final. Another one of the riders that have come up through the both pony jumping, juniors, young riders, now on the big stage. Great over the water, still clear. Strides. Perfect. Oh, I'm hardly rubbed that pole. Any other day that might have stayed there. So finishes on 4 faults with the penultimate fence coming down. So inside the time, 78.79 his time, 82 seconds the time allowed, but that one down, the penultimate fence down for Jos Vulloy for Belgium and Igor, 4 faults. And that was the lightest at rubs that. Any other day that may well have stayed there. Often you see these poles popping, jumping a few centimetres in the air and landing, and it all depends on the angle where you hit them. Confirmation that 2 riders have qualified. For the Netherlands, Kevin Jochems, and for the Great Britain, Amanda Derbyshire, for the jump-off. So far, early days. 6 gone from the 47 competitors who were expecting. And yeah, a shrug of the shoulders, disappointment, but Igor he's jumped so well for his nation, for Belgium this year. As he jumped a double clear in Rotterdam. Belgium, of course, who are leading the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup Division 1 at the moment. 2 more rounds to go, and that's the big event here at Hickstead, which is where we are, as you can see by that fence, which is where we are today. On Sunday we come to the 7th of the 8 legs of Division 1, and it's getting to crunch time for several of the nations, because only 7 of the 10 nations in Division 1 can get through to the big €2 million Barcelona final. But it's still wide open amongst 4 or 5 different teams at the bottom of Division 1. But we're here to focus on what we abbreviate as the Grand Prix, the Longines British Horse Society King George V Gold Cup. Stopped during the war. It started in 1911, and then in 1939 Italian rider Alessandro Bertoni Casago won the trophy, and he actually took it home to Italy and buried it in his garden until after the war, and returned, and it was then run in 1947. And the trophy, which I'm sure we'll see later, is worth over £250,000. It's solid gold. King George V, who became patron in 1911, had the trophy given to the most prestigious of show jumping classes in Great Britain. And riding for Great Britain next in the arena, Emily Moffat. Emily riding Tipsy du Terral. Now, she's been in the money on Tipsy yesterday in the 1m50 class. This is 1m60, but that was a very good performance indeed. Was that a good warm-up for today? She'll certainly be hoping so. Seen some fabulous water jumpers here. You can see that Emily was saying, come here, come here, come here. Tipsy just didn't listen enough, so the first of the 2 gates down. On 12 faults now, and the last as well. So 16 penalties in all, 4 down, 16 penalties for Emily Moffat and Tipsy du Terral for Great Britain. As Great Britain, chef de keep Di Lampard, who's got all the chef de keep's tremendous amount of pressure on there. You'll see she's reading her notes, because it's not just about the current teams that are coming in, it's we've got the World Equestrian Games coming up, and this is the last qualifier for some of the riders. Now we go to Brazil. Shoe back in place for Francisco Jose Mesquita Musa. Catch me Imperio Egipcio. Brazil, who under the mastership of Yuri Mansur won this trophy 12 months ago and then took the Nations Cup as well. In fact, I'll reword that because, of course, we're running it in a different order this year. They took the Nations Cup and then Yuri then won the King George V Gold Cup. This year, change around. Got the Grand Prix on the Friday. Nations Cup on Sunday afternoon. Well, I was about to make the comment that that looked extremely nicely controlled coming into the gate, but he got too close to it. Not an easy fence to jump that. The Hickstead planks, apart from being fairly unusual with the words written on them, you can see you're jumping, actually look as if you're jumping into the crowd. So coming in on 4 faults for Brazil. Rubs the last, stays there. And that's 1 down, 4 faults. Once again, we see the first part of the double of railway gates come down, and largely due to the fact that that is after that huge great stretch over the 4-metre water here at Hickstead. And it's some of these horses that we've seen, although I don't think that was the case with Francisco, difficult to get them back into the shorter stride to be able to jump those gates, because those gates are standing at 157 is the first one, the 158 coming out. We stay with Brazil. Pedro Junqueiro Male riding Prince Royal Z MFS. 11-year-old Zangazide bred stallion. Enjoyed a 5th place earlier on today. Pedro on Chakotay. And that's how to do it. On a curve as well, the gates after the water. So you can choose a longer line to go on the outside of the curve because the clock isn't troubling the riders. There'll be 82 seconds time allowed. Flies through the double of ditches. 2 to go for the Brazilian. Very energetic little horse this, and pops. Oh no!
Chasing again the time, 81.88. He was just inside over the crossing the final fence, finishing on the 4 there.
Well, he finishes on the 4 faults. That was a very disappointing last fence down. It's not the first time we've seen the last fence down, but it was just jumped so well all the way around and just tapped it with his hind legs. So 4 faults for Pedro Junqueiro Male and Prince Royal Z MFS for Brazil. Now we move to the rider in 34th place in the Longines FEI global rankings for the United States, Lauren Hoff. with her wonderful partner, 15-year-old Waterford, Lauren, who resides here in the UK in Gloucestershire. Oh, that's come down. Waterford, who's been a tremendous campaigner for Lauren, as indeed has her other great horse, Oh La La, who's currently off at the moment with a slight injury. But 2 super horses in her stable. And this chap has flown the flag in Nations Cups and various other championship competitions. Oh, well, that all went wrong. Is Lauren going to retire? I think she might be saying, that'll do me, thank you. 15-year-old Waterford has nothing to prove, and they can't be in the shake-up of the competition this afternoon. It's the clears go through to a jump-off. We've had 2 clears so far for the Netherlands, Kevin Jochems, Captain Cooper, and Amanda Derbyshire with Roulette BH. Those are the 2 clears from the first of the 10 competitors. 47 competitors in all come forward for the Longines King George V Gold Cup. Lauren Hoff for the United States retires with Waterford. Now we go to New Zealand. Twice represented New Zealand in the Olympic Games. Daniel Meach riding the 10-year-old Fine. Fine Swedish bred mare. Daniel's father and grandfather, who represented New Zealand in the sport of jumping. Strides. I was trying to see. It's 11 strides, just like the previous competitor. Just got too close to that gate, but it's all so difficult. Depends where you land after that 4-metre spread. And the last 2 down as well. And with the time penalty. So 13 penalties in all for Daniel Meach, and fine for New Zealand. And not fine as far as Daniel's concerned, I'm sure. So Daniel Meach leaves the arena representing New Zealand, and entering the arena representing Sweden, Evelina Tovek, riding the 10-year-old Mills Sheridan, another Swedish bred horse like Daniel Meach's horse. Different breeding, but both Swedish bred. Strides. They've all taken to the second fence. that upright prior to this combination, which she's jumped very well indeed, has not been down, I don't think, that often, if at all. She's now getting Mills Sheridan. You could sense that there might be an issue when she was coming off the corner, just turning to the water. You could see that Evelina, I could see going through her mind that there was a resistance possibility, and unfortunately that was right. So clearly Mills Sheridan not that keen on the water. So Evelina Tovak and Mills Sheridan for Sweden are limited. Now for Great Britain, Robert Smith riding the 10-year-old Ilton, a horse on which he won the 1m50 Bun Leisure Trophy yesterday, in great form. And this man who's already won this immense competition 3 times. Back in 1979, the first time he won it, 39 years ago at the age of 17. Then 98, sorry, then 88 and then 98. So 20 years since his last win. And yet again, the gate after the water. €50,000 up for grabs. And I was going to say Robert's keeping the pressure on the time, because there aren't many clears. We'll get down to money going into the 4 falters, but on 12 at the moment, that's not going to be picking up much, definitely not now. Well, disappointing round from one of the heroes of this competition. 16 penalties in all for the former 3-time winner of the Longines King George V Cup, Robert Smith, for Great Britain. 16 faults with Ilton. Nick Skelton, Olympic champion, looking tense because his partner Laura Kraut is in the arena. Laura Kraut for the United States, riding Deauville S. Laura, who's had performances from her 8-year-old Grateful, sorry, 7-year-old Grateful in the 7- and 8-year-old championship classes here. Eighth behind Robert Smith in the Bun Leisure yesterday on this horse. Right. No, and again. Well, we've seen the first 3 or 4 horses. We've had 2 clears, but they've stayed up for the first 3 or 4 horses. But I think the last 4 or 5 have had that gate down. And they'll all be aware that it's coming down because they're watching the monitors on the outside. No problem with the rest of the course for Laura Kraut. But the railway gate, the pair of railway gates, proving to be the bogey fence here in the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup here at Hickstead. 4 faults for Laura Kraut and Deauville S for the United States. The lightest of touches. Now for Great Britain, already with 1 clear from Amanda Derbyshire. Now the turn of Guy Williams with Rouge de Reval. Bronze medalist for Great Britain at European Championships back in 2011, Guy. And often on the other team competitions for the Brits. Oh! Well, he didn't knock the gates down. Well, it's gone down on this occasion. Must be the last 6 or 7 competitors, all who fouled out at the gate after the water. Not with Guy retiring. Guy Williams for Great Britain retires with the 13-year-old stallion Rouge de Reval.
Points and calling it there.
15 of the 47 competitors now completed their first round performances in the Longines King George V Gold Cup. Only 2 of those 15 will go forward to the second round at the moment. Kevin Jochems for the Netherlands, Captain Cooper, and for Great Britain, Amanda Derbyshire and Roulette BH. Now for the Netherlands. As mentioned, already with 1 clear. Johnny Pels riding West Selina. And what a performance this man put up 2 weeks ago on his horse Chabot de Rousseau. He was in a 4-way jump-off in Falsterbo for the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup. He had jumped a double clear in the 2 rounds of the Nations Cup, went in on the 10-year-old and won the 6th of the 8 legs in Falsterbo for the Netherlands. Just a slight trip there when he came down very steep. Made the gates look easy. Interesting that he landed quite short over the water. It wasn't a metre on the other side. That may well have helped him. Planks down, 1.60 m. Flat, well, hurdled the 2 fences over the water ditches on 12. Well, definitely a round of 2 halves. That one finishes on 20 faults, having had such a fantastic start. Johnny Pels for the Netherlands finishes on 20 faults after just the most superb first half of the round. Disappointing finish for Johnny Pels for the Netherlands. Just outside the water. Ten strides, and a lot of those that have had that gate down have taken 11 strides out of the water. But of course, very much depends on the size of your horse, so still just the 2 clears. There they are on the screens, Kevin Yockham's, Amanda Derbyshire. Those are the only 2 that will be going forward into the jump-off for the 2018 Longines King George V Gold Cup. But a long way to go. We've got another 30 competitors to come. For Belgium, Francois Matty Jr. with Casanova de Luz. Took the same line as Johnny Poles, the same result. Now can he clear the rest of the course and make it the first clear for Belgium? Belgium with 5 representatives in this competition this afternoon. Double of ditches. Perfect. 2 to go. Just the last. That's a clear for Belgium. Great round for Francois Matty Jr. Clear number 3 in the competition. Clear number 1 for Belgium. Clear for Francois Matty Jr. and Casanova de Luz for Belgium. Great round. Belgium, who are leading the Division 1 of the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup. Now Ben Maher for Great Britain, already with a fence down. Disappointing from the man who was the last British rider to win the King George. That was back in 2013 on Triple X, the third, the horse in which Ben in fact bred himself, so a unique situation almost. But unfortunately, 1 down already. I expect the judges will go and look at that water. But he's here riding Serena, the 12-year-old, the horse on which he finished 4th yesterday in the Bun Leisure Class 150 class. Well, frustrating round for the former winner for Great Britain, Ben Maher, finishing on 8 faults. 8 faults for Ben Maher for Great Britain with the 12-year-old mare Serena. Just touch the tape on the water. Ben, who's been in great form this year. Been on the Nations Cup teams. Now staying with Great Britain, Harriet Nuttall, riding a touch imperious. The 14-year-old of which she knows this arena like the back of her hand, this combination. Harriet, one of the masterful up-and-coming riders for Great Britain, represented Great Britain in the Nations Cup in Falsterbo a couple of weeks ago on this horse, on Henry as he's known. And those of you that follow the sport will know that Harriet's performance in the Hickstead Derby on a touch imperious has been extraordinary. Third in 2014, second in 15, 16 and 17, and third earlier this year in the Derby. Truly tremendous performance. Cruel almost that she hasn't got a win to her name in the Hickstead Derby with Henry. Quickest of horses, but he can jump big fences. Ten seconds to get home, Harriet. Oh, well, that was very disappointing not to be inside the time, but unfortunately that penultimate fence down for Harriet Nuttall and a touch imperious. So 4 faults for them. One down, 4 faults. Harriet Nuttall, a touch imperious for Great Britain. Back to Italy. Paolo Adamo Zubadelli with Giaciasoni. Italy with 5 riders here looking for their first clear. Funny how it goes. We must have had 6 or 7 riders, consecutive riders knocking that gate down. The last 2 or 3 jumped it well. He is on 4 faults, coming into the last line. And rubbed the last. Paolo knew he was wrong, looked over his shoulder. Yes, the pole came down, so finishes on 8 faults. 2 down, 8 faults for Paolo Adamo Zubadelli with Giaciasoni. 9-year-old Oldenburg bred gelding by Chaco Blue. Now for Great Britain, Jessie Dray, riding her and her mother Lynn Humphreys. Mullingdrin Touch the Stars for Great Britain. Jessie Dray, who lives just 4 or 5 miles from Hickstead. Like many of the riders come up through the rankings, but we've seen her on senior teams, Nations Cup teams, over the last 3 years. Well, that was late, but it came down, unfortunately. Nicely through the double ditches, but 8 faults on the board at the moment, 8 penalties, with just the last to negotiate, which he does well. 1 time penalty, so just outside that 82 seconds time allowed. Not something we've seen that often. In fact, I don't think we have in standard running of time. So 9 fault, 2 down, 1 time penalty for Jesse Dre and Malagdrin Touch the Stars. This was the lightest of touches, very, very... Well, that's bizarre, because my eyes, I couldn't see where she touched it, but clearly just, I couldn't spot it. There's Mum, Lynn Humphreys. And there's Dad. Lots of advice from her knowledgeable parents as Jessie Dre for Great Britain leaves the arena with 2 down and 1 time penalty on 9 faults. So that's the scene here, the beautiful scene of the All England jumping course here at Hickstead in the south of England, just north of the coast near Brighton. And this wonderful arena, which has been the scene of so many heroic occasions in equestrian sport, not just jumping, because of the Royal International Horse Show. They have about 3,000 horses and ponies through the 6 rings here during the 4 or 5 days, but all the championships that take place in this arena. Just before the start of this class, we had the some Hunter Championships, and it's a tremendous place to ride for everybody. But let's focus and get back to the Longines King George V Gold Cup, because we've had 21 of the 47 competitors. We only have 3 clears. Those 3 clears for the Netherlands: Kevin Jochems, so Captain Cooper. For Belgium, Francois Matty Jr., Casanova Deleuze. And for Great Britain, Amanda Derbyshire with Roulette PH. Di Lampard walking up with William Whittaker. Pensive William Whittaker. In the top 100 in the world now, William Whittaker. Di Lampard, of course, successful around this arena as an international rider herself many, many times. For Great Britain, William Whittaker with the 10-year-old gelding Lammy Beach. William, who's just got into the top 100. Well, he's in the top 100 in the global rankings, 88th at the moment. I say haven't just, he's been there a while. Individual gold medalist as a junior at the European Championships. Repeated that with the team gold a year later as a young rider. Great Britain looking for that second opportunity in a jump off. Well, Lammy Beach. It's called Lammy Beach, but didn't like the water. So coming into the last line on 12 faults. and of course incurred time penalties due to that stop at the water. The last comes down as well. A round to be forgotten, 24 faults in all for Will Whittaker and Lammy Beach for Great Britain. Great Britain, who had 17 of the competitors in the 47 on the start list, and still just that one clear of the 9 so far. That's Amanda Derbyshire. Well sat, Will. But these riders are riding probably 6 or 7 horses a day, so strength in their lower leg and thighs won't be a problem. Annoying when they do that, isn't it? It looks looks so easy for Brazil. Philippe Amaral riding Premier Carthos BZ, wonderful 15-year-old Zangazida bred gelding. Once he took to the Longines FEI World Cup finals in Paris earlier on this year, finished 28th in a very prestigious lineup there. World Cup won by BZ Madden for the United States, and that's significant for this competition because I mentioned that in 2008 this competition was opened up for the first time to ladies. Before that, purely for men, and the only ladies to have won this competition is in fact BZ Madden, and she won it twice in 2014 and 15. 4 faults on the board for Philippe Amaral for Brazil. And finishes on that 8 faults into 12th place, so 2 down, 8 faults for Philippe Amaral and Premier Carthos BZ for Brazil. Jump those planks quite wide and at a bit of an angle. 1.60 m. 3 riders in this competition today have formerly won the King George V Gold Cup, and this is one of those 3. He's won it 3 times, like Robert Whittaker, sorry, like Robert Smith, but this is John Whittaker with Cassini's Chaplain, looking for his 4th win in the King George V Gold Cup. And it's worth mentioning the horses that John has won this prestigious competition on over the former years. 1986 Ryan Sun, 1990 the Great Milton, and 1997 Wellham. 3 super duper horses. Brother Michael, who's not competing today, has won it 4 times, and now it's in the water. John Whittaker will not be in the jump off. Well, it all went a bit wrong after the water. Ten-year-old Holstein-bred Cassini's Chaplain. The most experienced riders in the world. Incredible how both John and brother Michael have kept up themselves in the top of the sport, but it wasn't to be today. Elimination for John Whittaker and Cassini's chaplain. So the three former winners of the King George V Gold Cup who have took part in this class will not be in the jump-off. So we know whatever happens, we're going to have a new winner of this most prestigious of trophies, the King George V Gold Cup this afternoon. Rider number 11 of the 17 for Great Britain. They're looking for their second clear to join Amanda Derbyshire in the jump-off. Can this lady do it? Anna Power for Great Britain, riding Blazer B. Anna, who lives in the West Country near Bristol in the UK. Eight years ago when she won the Queen Elizabeth II Cup here. Great round so far from Anna Power, formerly Anna Edwards. Oh, the lightest of touches. First of the ditches has come down. That's two. Great jump over the last. Well, that was looking like a great round until the last line. So 2 down, 8 faults for Anna Power and Blazer B for Great Britain. We've topped halfway. We're now going to have the 26th of the 47 competitors in the arena, and we still have just the 3 clears. For the Netherlands, Kevin Jochems and Captain Cooper. For Great Britain, Amanda Derbyshire and Roulette BH. And for Belgium, Francois Matty Jr. with Casanova and Deleuze. That's just the 3 clears so far from the 25 competitors that have taken part in this, the 2018 Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. 22 competitors to come. Back to Brazil. Malo Modolo Zanatelli riding Sirene de la Motte. Okay, bogey fence out of the way. Now the last line. Brazil, who hold this trophy, that's in the hands of Yuri Mansur, who's not here this year. That was the first and only time since the first year of 1911 that Brazil have won it. Can we have a Brazilian in the jump-off to see if we can make that too? That's the Oxa, just the upright at the last. We've got our 4th clear, a superb round for Brazil. Marlon Modolo, Zanatelli and Zarine Delamont make it clear number 4 here at Hickstead in Great Britain for the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. Brazil now in contention to retain the solid gold King George V Gold Cup. Great round from Marlon Modolo, Zanatelli. And the smile says it all. All the riders that have been standing out here riding now have seen so many competitors they would have expected to go clear, have fences down, particularly that double of railway gates. And so they know it's been very, very tricky. And here's a lady shooting up the world rankings. For Sweden, Stephanie Holman riding Flip's Little Sparrow. Well, this 27-year-old young lady, rising star of Swedish show jumping, based with European champion and fellow compatriot Peder Fredriksson, helping her coming up through the ranks, and not least of all, one of the ways is riding this wonderful horse. Former rider of Peder Fredriksson, Flip's Little Sparrow. Jumps right to the left of those gates, but perfect for them. Well judged. Young rider, medalists at Europeans twice for Sweden, team medals, bronze and silver. This girl is really making a name for herself. That was a superb round. The pressure on Stephanie Holman, because as she has just got better and better and better, she's riding a great horse, but wow, is she repaying all that wonderful help she gets from the Fredrikssons, because that was just the most superb round for Stephanie Holman and Flip's Little Sparrow. Clear number 5. 20 competitors still to come. 27 have gone, 5 clears. For Ireland, Shane Breen with Kanya McCann, 12-year-old. Shane, who lives here at Hickstead. Just, in fact, we're in his back garden. Well, you could see, you could sense that Shane wasn't absolutely sure he was right coming into the railway fences. He's done very well this weekend in the 7- and 8-year-old championship series on Colmar. Placed twice. And the last came down and just over that 82 seconds of time allowed, so 9 faults in all for Shane Breen for Ireland and Kanya McCann. Well, this is a sight we're becoming familiar with. Far too low, but not too low, just on the last, just a slight rub with the back feet, and 1 time penalty, so 9 in all for Shane Breen. Now for Italy, ranked 83 in the global rankings, Piergiorgia Bucchi, riding Driandria. Competed in Samarin at the first of the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup Series this summer on this horse. Decides to jump the gate right in the middle. Doesn't get away with the difficult distance. And just the last to jump, but the gates down, so full faults for Piergiorgia Bucchi and Driandria.
Well, continuing in this man's success, so he can follow this with the winner that had just a few weeks ago here in the Algeria Hickstead Derby. Fourth point there, William Funnell.
Great view of the Hickstead Arena. And this combination know it well. Winners of the Hickstead Derby for Great Britain. William Funnell riding Billy Buckingham. Had a win today earlier on Billy Kodak. Was on the Nations Cup team in Falspo 2 weeks ago and jumped 2 superb rounds. Had a time penalty in each of the rounds, but great jumping from Billy Buckingham. And that Hickstead Derby win a few weeks ago, William Funnell's 4th Derby victory. Perfect. Out of the way. Sigh of relief. It sounded worse than it was. Just the last for Great Britain, and he's outside the time. It's a repeat of what happened in Falsterbo 2 weeks ago. Billy Buckingham just outside that time of 82 seconds, so 1 time penalty for William Funnell and Billy Buckingham. And the time has looked quite generous, but this fabulous scopy 10-year-old that can jump the moon, but he's just not very quick. So unfortunately for the Hickstead Derby winners from a few weeks ago, they will not be in the jump-off of the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. A blow for Great Britain, and I'm sure a terribly frustrated William Funnell. But a great jumping round, again a great jumping round from Billy Buckingham. Make him as high as you like for him. Now for Ireland. Richie Maloney with Roxy Music. Ireland with 3 competitors. How many have they got left? They've got Richie. And Anthony Condon, he'll be last to go, the 47. We've lost Shane Breen for Ireland. So looking for their first clear to go into the jump-off. Not to be for Ireland. That's 8 now. Doesn't look the easiest to rise, Roxy Music. This 10-year-old, 16 volts for Richie Maloney and Roxy Music for Ireland. Once again, that gate's come down, 31st competitor, and 1/3 of the class have had the railway gates down. That first gate of that double after the water. It's a good shot of the back of her foot going on the tape, and that's a very familiar shot that we've seen today. For Brazil, Luis Felipe Asvado Filho with Giacomo. Brazil already with 1 competitor in the jump-off. Marlo Modolo is on the telly. We've seen all sorts of different ways of negotiating that gate, and it's difficult to find the key. Another one on 4 faults at the first part of the double railway gates. And a great round, other than the gates, and we've had the opportunity to say those words a few times in this round. So that one down the double, the first part of the double of gates down 4 faults for Luis Felipe de Azevedo Filho and Giacomo for Brazil. Into it at an angle, trying to get the stride right. So Brazil with the 1 representative in the jump-off. Now the 12th rider of the 17 in this competition for Great Britain. Nigel Cope riding Clovers Hill. Right. First of the last line. Okay. Double of ditches. Upright. One stride over the oxer. And it's down. Just when you thought all the problems were out of the way, unravelling in the last line. So 2 down, 8 faults for Nigel Cope and Golvers Hill for Great Britain. So Great Britain with just the one in the jump off at the moment. 5 representatives for Great Britain still to come in this competition. But at the moment, flying the flag for our hosts here in Hickstead, Amanda Derbyshire and Roulette. The only one of the 12 so far to go clear. Now for Sweden, ranked 5th in the world in the global rankings, Henrik von Eckermann with Flötdien. European team silver medalist from the European Championships in Gothenburg. Riding Tovek's Mary Lou, and on the very same horse that he finished on the podium the last 2 Longines FEI World Cup finals, more recently in Paris earlier on this year. Oh, Henrik. Well, it sounds repetitive, but that's 4 faults at the gates. Represented Sweden in 4 of the legs of the Nations Cup so far this year. Will be in the team on Sunday. He puts him into 7th place, and it looks like that the 4 falters placings are going to be significant, because there's €150,000 total prize fund. So with just 5 clears at the moment, 5 clears at the moment, if it stays like this, some of the 4 falters, the fastest of the 4 falters, will be picking up some euros. But we have a fair way to go yet. Henrik von Eckermann for Sweden leaves the arena on 4 faults. Now for Italy. Paolo Lepeni riding Ottava Meraviglia di Cansan. 12-year-old mare. Just looking back here to see that, not to be for this man today, but Italy last won this trophy back in 1962. And those of you that have been around a while will be no surprise to know that was one of the great Dinzeo brothers, Piero Dinzeo, who won it in 61 and in 62 on the great The Rock. So Italy haven't won the King George V Gold Cup since 1962, the year in fact that Hickstead I think started that year. This competition has been at Hickstead since 1992. On 12. And the last down to make it 16.
Finish on a total of 16 against each points, each one quickly is held. So 5 minutes on the board is 35 gone on line. All is Longines.
So 4 down, 16 faults for Paolo Peni and Ottave Maraviglia di Cansan G. So we've still got the 5 quick clears. Oh, that's nice. Quick snack on the way out, taking advantage of the beautiful watered green grass of the Hickstead main arena, when the rest of the grass in Great Britain at the moment is more like hay. So as Paolo Peni leaves the arena, let's reflect on where we are after the completion of 35 of the 47 competitors here in the first of the 2 rounds of the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. Only the clears go through to the jump-off to compete for this prestigious trophy. And let's just look at the 5 so far. Early on in the competition, 4th to go and indeed 5th to go, they were our first 2 clears. For the Netherlands, Kevin Jochems got us underway with Captain Cooper, followed by Amanda Derbyshire with Roulette BH. It was then to be 12 competitors before we got our next clear for Belgium, Francois Matty Jr. riding Casanova Delers. Then it was another 9 competitors or so before we got another quick double of clears. The first for Brazil, Marlon Modolo Zanatelli, hoping to repeat his countryman Yuri Mancia's feat of a year ago. And Stephanie Holman, the up-and-coming Swedish rider, has made it the 5th clear, riding Flip's Little Sparrow. So we've just got the 5 clears so far in the jump-off. 12 more to jump, and that's the scene outside at the warm-up arena, about 50 metres or so away from the in and out gate of the main arena. That's where the little niggles get ironed out, hopefully, before they come in to the rather awesome arena here at Hickstead. Some big names who will be stopped. So Ellen Whittaker to come for Great Britain, Angelica Horn for Holland, Joanna Ekberg, she could make it clear number 2 for Sweden. Anthony Condon, he'll be last to come, wanting to make sure Ireland have got a horse in the jump-off this afternoon. Ireland, who won this trophy 2 years ago, 2016, that was with Billy Toomey riding Lizzie Mary, and Billy's not here this weekend. For Belgium, Ville Vermeer riding DM Jacquemot, a 9-year-old. Been in a couple of Nations Cups already for the Belgium team. Belgium are heading Division 1 of the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup. 2 rounds to go of that critical series, and the penultimate round being here at Hickstead in 2 days' time. For Belgium, Willem Vermeer, DM Jacquemot. Belgium already with a representative in the jump-off in the name of Francois Matty Jr. Nice through the combination. Now this difficult line. Jumped it slightly to the left. Maybe judging it. The water I'm talking about. Now coming to the gate, jumps it right in the middle. Oh, would you believe it? The second part came down. Now we've hardly seen the second part of that double come down. It looked absolutely perfect going in for Willem Vermeer for Belgium, but wasn't to be. Third yesterday this combination in the 1 metre 50 bun leisure competition. So as a bit of a change, it was the second part of the railway gates that came down. So 4 faults for Willem Vermeer and DM Jacquemot for Belgium. One more Belgian rider to come, Gudrun Petit, with the wonderful Seacoast Pebbles. Well, now a multi-medalist for Great Britain in the junior ranks and pony ranks of jumping. Just 18 years old. Harry Charles riding ABC Quantum Cruise. Quantum Cruise, 9-year-old gelding. Last part of the combination down. Great Britain still looking for their second clear. And I think you heard the splash. So that's 8. And the last coming in on 8. So 2 down, 8 faults for Harry Charles and ABC Quantum Cruise for Great Britain. Great Britain just with 3 opportunities to have another rider in the jump off. They've got Amanda Derbyshire at the moment, but Georgie Tame, Ellen Whittaker and Jamie Gornall, the last 3 opportunities to get somebody else into the jump-off. Time running out. For Italy, Massimo Grossato riding Lazzaro del Chiav. Rode in the Nations Cup for Italy at the first round of Division 1 in Sopot. Dumps the water right in the middle. Aims at the red disc, and we've seen it successful jumping right in the middle of those gates, and that was very good indeed from the Italian. Bogey fence out of the way. This is 1 metre 60. Round to the also 1 metre 60 Hickstead planks. Double of ditches. Upright. 1 stride over the Oxer, still clear, 2 to jump. Oh, we're going to have clear number 6 from the Italian. Just the last, and he clears it. An absolutely superb round. Huge amount of confidence oozing out of Massimo Grossato as he rode round that course. That was a very good clear indeed from the Italian. Italy in the jump off here at Hickstead in the King George V Gold Cup. That is 6 clears so far, How many have we got left? We've got 9 competitors still to come. Just 6 clears from the 38 competitors. Italy, Sweden, Brazil, the Netherlands, Great Britain and Belgium. A truly international lineup so far in the jump-off. Now for Great Britain, Georgia Tate riding the 14-year-old Cash Up. What a nice 7-year-old Zanga Zyderbred Caratina, in which he was 3rd in one of the 7 and 8-year-old championship classes. Well done. It looked close. I didn't see the judge getting too stressed about it. Well done to you, Georgia Tate, through the gates. "21 years old. Disappointing for Great Britain. That has jumped so well. That oxer over the hedge. So on 4 faults. 8. Cash Up just looking to be getting a little bit heavy in the hand. Time penalties. 9 penalties in all. 8 jumping, 1 time penalty, 9 in all for Georgia Tate and Cash Up for Great Britain. Eight more competitors to come. 6 clears so far. One of those clears, Kevin Jochems for the Netherlands. Now also for the Netherlands, Angelica Horn with Brego R&B. Angelica rode in the Olympic Games representing the Dutch team. That was in Hong Kong in 2008. Just finished off the podium at the Jerez World Equestrian Games in this competition. One of the last opportunities for the chef d'équipes to pick their teams for the World Equestrian Games this year in September in Tryon. Very nicely through the double of gates. Depth of amount of riders that chef d'équipe Rob Aarons has to call upon for the Dutch team. Skips through the double of ditches, 2 to go. Will this be the second clear for the Netherlands in the jump off here? She rubs the back pole of the oxer, but it stays there. She gets over the last, she stops the clock in plenty of time, and she puts a big smile on her face. That is a super round from the former Olympian Angelica Horn for the Netherlands. That makes it clear number 7, and it makes it clear number 2 for the Netherlands. For the Dutch, they go into the jump off of the 2018 King George V Gold Cup. Double-handed, the Dutch. I said at the beginning of this competition that the Dutch have been in dangerous form. Very good round indeed from Angelica Horn. Clear number 7. Now for Great Britain. Ellen Whittaker riding Arena UK's Winston, just a 9-year-old. Irish sport horse. Look, just one opportunity left to have another clear in the jump off. Well done. Kicks out the gate. Why not? Many have. Eight penalties on the board. No problem through the in and out of ditches. And rubs the last, so that makes it 12 in all. 3 down, 12 faults for Ellen Whittaker and Arena UK Winston. Let's go back to the Netherlands. We know they're double-handed so far in the jump off with just 7 total clears. Can they make it 3 in the jump off? For the Netherlands, Willem Greve with Zipria S, 11-year-old Holstein-bred mare. Willem Greve, who's represented teams for the Netherlands through the juniors, young riders, and was at European Championships 5 years ago in Herning in Denmark, where the team finished 6th. Team bronze as a junior, team bronze as a young rider. Just another example of the depth of riders that the Dutch have, and their fabulous program of breeding horses and ensuring that they keep their hands on a few of the good ones for the majors certainly appears to have paid off. The gates come down though. And the Dutch go into the jump off with 2 representatives. And that's down as well, that's the last. So that's 8 faults, 2 down, 8 faults for Willem Greve and Zipria S for the Netherlands.
Coming into our final 5, so we already have the 7 players on the board. All is Longines, George the Gold Cup, and it's Sweden, now. Units and Windows, is trying to get 7 tables, and Belgium, the 10-year-old
now into the final 5. 1 for Sweden, 1 for Belgium. Great Britain have got 1. Sweden have 2. And Ireland last to go, Anthony Condon. Sweden already with 1 of the jump off. That's Stephanie Holman with Flip's Little Sparrow. 2 opportunities in the last 5 to double up in the jump off. First of those 2, Joanna Ekberg riding Univers du Vinibus. 10-year-old French-bred stallion, aligned by Luciano. Very nice through the combination. Once again, the railway takes its toll. And comes in on 4 for Sweden and makes it 8 at the last. So 2 down, 8 faults for Johanna Ekberg and Univers Duvinbus for Sweden. 4 to go.
Also be part of winning teams before now here at Hickstead, and also with the Super Prix in Dover and in St. Mons.
Now for Belgium, Gudrun Petit with Seacoast Pebbles Z. Now a 12-year-old Pebbles. Francois Matty Jr. for Belgium in the jump-off. And these two very capable of joining them. Jumps right to the left of the water. Perfect planning. Makes a perfect performance, and that's what it was at that double of gates. Beautiful through the ditches, 2 to go. This is a star combination, these two. Just the last. They rub it, but it stays there. That's a great clear. So Gudrun Petit, Seacoast Pebbles Z, they go clear. That's clear number 8. But clear number 2 for Belgium, but 8 in all here at the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. That was a lovely round. Great round from Gudrun Petit and Seacoast Pebbles Z. Super combination to watch. 3 to go. Great Britain, Sweden, Ireland. First of that trio, Jamie Gornell riding the 13-year-old stallion Carsten for Great Britain. It all seems so easy up until the end of the combination. No thanks. Well, disappointing. We've seen 3 competitors now not fancy the 4-metre wide Hickstead water, turning away from the in and out. Well, the klaxon signifying elimination. So disappointing for Jamie Gornell and Carsten for Great Britain. Elimination at the water jump.
So there's 2 laps to come in the first round, and the Sweden and Ireland are the winners in the BHS. Fredrik Jonsson now, the Swedish rider with the Coldplay, followed by contender.
So, two
The Swedish rider who's also
left.
He's also completed 7 stages on the Longines Championship courtesy of Prix Rotterdam and Moss. Fredrik Jonsson, Coldplay.
Two left to jump. Great Britain now know that they have one in the jump off from their 17 starters. Sweden also one in the jump off this second opportunity. Fredrik Jonsson riding Coldplay. Former Olympic rider back in the 90s. That was Atlanta, Georgia for Sweden. Fredrik Jonsson finished 13th there, very creditable 13th in Atlanta. Oof. Perfect. Still clear. Can this be the second clear for Sweden? No, the penultimate fence is down, the back bar of the ox is gone, that's 4 faults. So 1 down, 4 faults for Fredrik Jonsson and Coldplay for Sweden. Still 8 clears in the jump off, 1 competitor to come. We started off with 3 riders representing Ireland. We haven't got one of those into the jump. Oh, frustration from young Jonsson watching on, because that was such a great round. Just the penultimate oxer down. Coldplay, just a 10-year-old. Now Anthony Condon for Ireland. Ireland looking for their first clear in this, the King George V Gold Cup. Been placed in 3 classes, not with this SFS Aristio, but with a couple of other courses. So his team of horses seem to be in form. Makes the gates look easy. His 12-year-old stallion by Arco III, the Arco stamp. Right, still clear. That's the oxer out of the way, just the last. Will this be a clear for Ireland? It is indeed a very clean round from Anthony Condon with SFS Aristio for Ireland. Very, very clean round indeed for Anthony Condon. So that makes it clear. Number 9. That's the 47 competitors that have come forward for the first of the 2 rounds of the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup, the Grand Prix of the Royal International Horse Show this weekend at Hickstead. And let's reflect. Here are the clears. 2 for the Netherlands, Kevin Yoakum's got us underway with Captain Cooper. Amanda Derbyshire with the very strong Roulette BH, the only representative for Great Britain. Francois Matti Jr. with Casanova Deleuze for Belgium. Marlon Madola's Anatolia hoping to repeat Yuri Mansiour's Brazil win from last year. Stephanie Holman with the wonderful Flips Little Sparrow. She's in the jump off, as is Massimo Grossato. That's 6, and then the last 2 or 3 are Angelica Horn for the Netherlands. Lovely round from the last 2 clears that we saw. Gudrun Petit and Seacoast Pebbles Z, and Anthony Condom and SF Aristio. Great clears from those 2. That's the 9 clears, and with the 1-time penalty, I'm sure he's kicking himself, William Funnell with the Hickstead Derby winner, Billy Buckingham. Well, 9 through into the jump-off. Jumping in the same order. We will just have a break for a couple of minutes, and then we'll be right back with the jump-off of the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup.
Well, welcome back to Hickstead, and what a jump-off we've got in store in the King George V Gold Cup. We had 9 clear rounds in the first round, but we've just heard that Angelique Horn is not coming back to compete in the jump-off, so we'll have 8 going forward and battling it out to claim that famous King George V Gold Cup and a share of €150,000. So first round, an interesting jump-off coming up, and to preview it with me, I've got Nigel Cap. Now, Nigel, unlucky for you in the first round, 8 faults with Golvers Hill. Just starting with the first round course generally, do you think it was the right track for the Grand Prix class?
Yeah, I mean, you would want probably 8 clears, and you got 9, and I know one's not coming back, so you've got to say congratulations to the course builder for what he achieved there. You know, he didn't, as we say, you know, he didn't kill any horse, as it were, you know what I mean. They all came out great, and he had unlucky 4 faults here, and you know, I was clear till fence 10 there, and one slight mistake. I had 9 strides from the planks to the double. I probably should have gone 10, and all of a sudden then you're out of the jump off, and you know, that's what you want. One small mistake to puts you out, and if you don't make any mistakes, you're clear generally, you know.
Such a simple concept, really, isn't it? Now, this Grand Prix class, usually we see it on a Sunday. Do you think a lot of the horses maybe looked a little bit unsure, particularly the water fence, which we'll talk about in a moment, but do you think it being on a Friday has affected how it was ridden or how people approach this class?
Not particularly. I think 1 or 2 maybe have come for the Nations Cup, so they'll be jumping their best horse in on Sunday because of the point situation. No, generally Hickstead, it's an arena on its own. You know, the water here can cause a little bit of trouble, and you know, you need a confident horse and a confident rider. But generally speaking, no. I think we're in for a good jump off.
Well, let's just talk about this water jump, because for most of the riders that we did see pick up faults, one of the main areas of concern and difficulty was this line from 5 here at the water jump and then up to the double of gates. I mean, the jump-off riders will be pleased that it's just one of those gates in the jump-off, but why was this line in particular proving just so difficult?
Well, if you have the double of gates on their own, they're difficult to jump. So when you put them on a bit of an angle after the water, you know, you're coming uphill away from the gate, so you need a little bit of pressure, a little bit of squeeze at the water, and then what you want to do is to slow down for the double of gates, because you don't want to be going across them, you want to be jumping up. So that's the difficult thing. If you can get that right, you jump them. And if you look at the cups on them, you know, if you took the camera over there and showed people the cups, they're absolutely flat cups, and you know, it's 160, and any type of little rub and they're gone.
They're so light, so easy to knock. Is there anything about them as well, with the light going through them and the fact they've got the gaps in there, that makes them a little bit more spooky for the horses?
You don't see them in show jumping as much as you used to in the old days. Like a double of gates like that, it's obviously synonymous with the King George. But generally speaking, when you jump in the county circuit, you don't see gates as much as you used to. So that's probably one of the reasons why it doesn't jump as good, because they're just not as used to it. They're used to jumping all these other fences, the planks, you know, your vertical there at 14 and the Oxford at 15, all the Longines fences. They're used to seeing that all the time. So when you see something that's just a little bit different, some of them don't like it.
And as well, although we see water jumps quite a lot, this one here at Hickstead is much bigger, or just that little bit wider than a lot of them.
Yeah, it sometimes it doesn't jump great, but I mean, it jumped okay today. One or two did go in it, but you know, if you get a good shot off the corner, and you know, most horses, you know, you prepare for, you know, you come to Hickstead and you know there's a water to jump, so you probably do a little bit of practice before you come here.
And looking ahead now to the jump off, I know you were having a quick scout round the jump off course before we started having our chat. It's a couple of new fences. We're finishing with an Oxer over right in front of the crowd, so a real grandstand finish. What's your take on the course, and where can you really be shaving off some time? And what are you relieved to see is left us for the jump off?
Well, the first thing is it depends where you go. You know, last week I was at a county show and I was first to go in the jump off, and I went too fast and I had a fence down. So, you know, if you're first to go, you're not really sure what's going to happen behind you. You know, Anthony's last to go. He's in pole position. He'll know exactly what to do. So, yeah, you got the 6A here. You don't want to be jumping across that too much. You want to be getting quite square to it. And then, obviously, 7, you got your planks in again. They're a big fence. And then turn for home. And obviously, there's a big gallop home to fence 15. You want to be making sure you jump that one correct.
Well, Kevin Yokems has just come into the arena, so thank you very much for your time and your insight there, Nigel. Let's rejoin your commentary team.
Well, nice words from Nigel Coote for Great Britain, and very interesting just to pick up on a couple of things he said. It just shows you what a science this sport is. It's about millimetres and thousandths of a second. It's very, very technical. It's not easy. And we've got now in the jump-off 8, you may have heard Hannah say that Angelica Horn and Brego R&B for the Netherlands is not coming forward to the jump-off, keeping her horse fresh for another day. So 8 left in the jump-off. First horse in the arena, jumping in the same order that they came in the first competition. And shortened course, starting with fence 3. First of the 8 competitors for the Netherlands, now on his own. Doesn't have a compatriot to join him, with Angelica Horn not competing. Kevin Yokems with the wonderful 11-year-old Dutch-bred gelding, Captain Cooper. First to go in the 2018 Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup jump-off here at Hickstead in Great Britain. Start off with what was the 158 upright, fence 3 on the original course. Then straight down to the combination, but the last part's gone, the last Oxer's gone. So with an Oxer and an upright, then a left-hand turn to the first part of the double of gates that proved so difficult coming straight after the water. Then right-handed down to the the Bunleisure upright, 1.60 meters, straight to 7, and then back to 9. The Hickstead planks, that's 1.60 meters still. Now a complete turn to 14, and this is still clear for Kevin Yokems. Now a gallop down to the last. A new fence and Oxer in front of the grandstand. Can the Dutch start off with a clear? Oh, a beautiful jump over the last. He stops the clock in 50.35 and absolutely flew the last. A great round from Kevin Jochems and Captain Cooper for the Netherlands. 50.35. Well, what a way to start. Also heard Nigel Cooper, Great Britain, in that interview saying that that's not the place you want to be going first in a jump-off, because you're never quite sure how much pressure to put on the time. But that's a gamble you have to take. They're all used to it. 50.35 the time to beat, set by Kevin Jochems of the Netherlands. Now the sole remaining competitor for Great Britain, Amanda Derbyshire, with the 9-year-old Roulette BH. Roulette, who proved to be very strong for Amanda in the first round, but beautifully ridden round that difficult course set by Kelvin Bywater. Great angle at the gate, setting herself up for that right turn. Lands there in 36 seconds at the planks. 50.35, there's nothing in it. She gallops down to the Oxer at the last. Will she get a flyer? She's not going to get in front, but she goes clear. It's a great round. She goes into second place, 53.21. She's clear in second place. Amanda Derbyshire, Roulette BH. Great round from Amanda Derbyshire for Great Britain. And Roulette BH into second place, 53.21. Well, there's a rare sight. That's something we haven't seen for weeks here. Spots of rain on the water jump. Umbrellas are coming out. Great Britain. Weather's changing. For Belgium, Francois Matty Jr. with Casanova Dillers. Belgium. 2 opportunities to take the King George V Gold Cup. This is the first of those. Francois Matty. Well, came in at an angle similar to Amanda Derbyshire, but didn't get high enough. Good turn after the planks. He's got 4 faults on the board, but there's big money for minor placings. That's going to push him down.
This shows the 50.79. It is major roll for Francois Matty and Casanova Dillers. Kevin Jochems still leading away at 50.35.
So 8 faults for Francois Matty Jr. and 50.79 the time. So the leader at the moment, Kevin Jochems and Captain Cooper for the Netherlands, 50.35. I have just heard that Anthony Condon for Ireland and SFS Aristio will not be jumping in the jump-off. So we're now down to 7. And look at that rain. Now for Brazil. Marlon Modolo Zonatelli and Zarine Delamotte for Brazil. 50.35 to beat. Time set by the Dutchman Kevin Jochems and the wonderful Captain Cooper. Marlon Madolo's Untitled trying to repeat last year's Brazilian victory with Yuri Mansur. Oh, well, you could see that was likely to end up with 4 faults there. So that's another on 4 faults. So Kevin Jochems for the Netherlands still can breathe. Coming down to the last. On 4 faults, pops over the last, 55.03, he stops the clock. And that puts him into 3rd place behind the 2 clears so far. Kevin Jochems, the current leader, 50.35. Amanda Derbyshire with Roulette BH for Great Britain in 2nd place, 53.21. 3 left to jump. Sweden, Italy, and Belgium. For Sweden, Stephanie Holman with Flips Little Sparrow. Former rider, European champion Peter Fredriksson. Stephanie Holman based with the lightest of touches. You heard Nigel Coop talk about the flat cups. It didn't take anything, just a little nudge on the deck. So fastest clear so far. Sorry, the fastest 4-faulter. Oh, that's 8. I was going to say the fastest 4-faulter, 55.03. Stephanie Holman still keeping the pressure up on the time. Stops the clock in 52.86, but there is 2 fences on the deck. So 8 faults, 52.86 for Stephanie Holman. Flips Little Sparrow for Sweden. 2 to go. Kevin Jochems, Captain Cooper, current leader, 50.35. Massimo Grossato and Lazzaro Del Chiav for Italy. Right. He needs to land over these planks in 36 seconds. He's on 30 seconds. He's got some work to do, the Italian. 50.35 is the time to beat. Now he's really going to have to fly. He knows it. He knows he's up against the clock. He's not going to make the 50. Will he? Oh! Well, a great gallop at the last. He goes into 2nd place. 52.64. That was a really good crack at the time. Massimo Grossato, Lazzaro Del Chiav goes into 2nd place on a time of 52.64 for Italy. Kevin Jochems, Captain Cooper, maintains his position in the lead, and he was first to go, 1 to come. Delighted with his effort.
Seacoast, Pebbles.
Well, this couple more than capable. For Belgium, last to go in the jump off, Gudrun Petit with Seacoast Pebbles Z. 12-year-old Zangazide bred gelding jumped a most beautiful round in the first part of this competition. Oh, that's not going to help. There's a second gone there. That was very unfortunate. Of course, the rain, it is watered, but the rain has come down, as you've seen, very, very heavy. It may have made it a little bit slippery. Heartbreaking if she loses this by a second, that's for sure. That rattle stayed there. She's up on the clock. Oh, the planks are gone. Kevin Jochems has got it. This is going to be a very quick time. But Seacoast Pebbles planks have come down. The 1m60 plank. 55.03, the fastest for Falter. And she clearly gets that. She finishes in 4th place. In 4th place finishes Gudrun Petit, Seacoast Pebbles Z for Belgium in the fastest of the 4 Falters, 51.28. That slip, well, it didn't play a part of the planks, of course. She rubbed those planks 1m60. She's jumped them clear already this afternoon. That was disappointing, but it was a very good crack indeed, 51.28. But it tells us that the man who's due to be 23 years old in 2 days' time, Kevin Jochems, for the Netherlands, wins the 2018 Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup, clear in 50.35. In 2nd place for Italy, Massimo Grossato, Lazzaro Del Chiev, 52.64. And 1.5 seconds behind him, Amanda Derbyshire and Roulette for Great Britain, the sole British rider in the jump-off after 17 starters, 53.21. The fastest of the 4 Falters in 4th place, Gudrun Petit, Seacoast Pebble Z. And in 5th place, Marlin Modolo Zanatelli with Seren de la Motte in 5th, and Francois Matty Jr. for Belgium in 6th place, and Stephanie Holman flips Little Sparrow in 7th place. That was the jump-off. 8th place finished William Funnell with that one-time penalty from that lovely round of jumping with Billy Buckingham in the first round, finishes in 8th. But it's all going to be about the young Dutchman who had a very good show. I was talking to his chef de keep, Rob Ahrens, in Falsterbo a couple of weeks ago. We were watching Kevin jumping Captain Cooper round in Falsterbo. Very similar arena and atmosphere to the show, one of the wonderful traditional European show, Falsterbo. And he was just saying what a lovely horse he was. Well, he certainly proved that today. A great partnership. And 2 days off his 23rd birthday. I've mentioned once or twice during the and just saying that the young well, the weather has changed. We've just seen, as I was just talking about, young 23-year-old, will be 23 in 2 days' time, Kevin Jochems for the Netherlands. And we talked about through the broadcast about the depth of riders and horses that the Dutch have got. You know, they've got world number 1 Harry Smulders, and he wasn't even in this class, and no doubt he'll be unleashed on Sunday. So it's changing with the weather here. The weather in Great Britain, as it has been in most of Europe, unbelievable. And the incredible change of weather, because this morning it was 34 degrees here, and then now we've just had the heavens open in the last 5 minutes. So everything's changing weather-wise, and in a few moments' time I think we're going to be able to hear from the winning rider, from Kevin Jochems and Captain Cooper. Let's hear from the winning rider for the Netherlands, Kevin Jochems.
Welcome back to the King George V Gold Cup here at Hickstead, where I'm alongside our winner for today's Grand Prix class, Kevin Jochems. Congratulations, a couple of excellent rounds of jumping there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. My horse did an unbelievable performance today.
There were two, the first round we saw so many problems with various parts of the course. You rode absolutely brilliantly. Just why is your horse so well suited to these Grand Prix classes and this arena here in particular, because it's quite unique?
Yeah, my horse loves the big grass rings. He felt very good yesterday already, and yeah, he seems to be very happy here. He jumped amazing today.
And it's always quite difficult as well to be the pathfinder in a jump-off. Usually leads you at a bit of a disadvantage, but with the rain starting 3 horses in, do you think luck was maybe on your side a little bit today?
I don't know. It's quite difficult to go in and jump off as first one, but that went very well. And after that, I was just looking. I didn't even mention that it was raining, actually.
You didn't even realise. That's the perk of wearing a riding hat, isn't it? This is such a huge class. I think you're only the second rider from the Netherlands to have ever won it. What does it mean to you to win the King George V Gold Cup? Because when you see that trophy, it's a very impressive trophy.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's my first 5-star Grand Prix win. I'm very happy to be here. And, yeah, it's really amazing.
Your first win, and what a win to do! What a place to do it at. What's next for you?
The Nations Cup on Sunday.
And how well does this set you up going into that Nations Cup? You must be feeling very confident in this arena based on that performance.
Well, that's true. That's true. Sunday is a new day. It's a new sport again, but I for sure have a very good feeling about it now.
Well, congratulations again on the win. A fantastic performance. We'll let you go and enjoy it. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
One of the many young riders that the Dutch have got up their sleeve. You've just heard Kevin Jochems say that he'll be in the Nations Cup on Sunday, the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup, round 7 of the 8 qualifiers. They won 2 weeks ago in Falsterbo in Sweden in round 6. They're the reigning champions of the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup, the final and last September in Barcelona. And this man has just won, you've just heard him say, his first ever 5-star Grand Prix. It's a massive occasion for a young rider, or a rider of his age in his early 20s, to come up against, not just against the top of the world, he's been riding against them for a month or two, but actually to come into an arena like Hickstead, where it's synonymous with great performances and a tremendous amount of history, to be here and jump here to win a 5-star Grand Prix. He'll never ever forget this day. The Netherlands, Hannah mentioned that they've only won the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup once before. That was back in 2012 when Henrik Jan Schutert won with Sorona HS. That's so only 2 wins for then Henrik von Eckermann for Sweden, just congratulating Kevin. So the history that this man has just written this afternoon, not just on the edge of the King George V Gold Cup, but for his family, absolutely tremendous result. A very, very, very special moment indeed. It will, whatever happens in his individual career, this will remain one of his biggest wins. You know, sure, they've got the championships, the World Equestrian Games, Olympic Games, but to win the King George V Gold Cup is very, very special indeed. Wonderful, wonderful horse, Captain Cooper. Well, the Dutch, although just one of the jump off, they've had some good performances in this Grand Prix class, as have Sweden. That gives us an indication of what might happen on Sunday in the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup.
And
And there is the trophy I've been told that the value of the trophy is at least £250,000, the trophy. No, they don't get to keep it. They do have to return it. I doubt they even get the opportunity to take it home, but they probably get an opportunity of a very nice photograph with one of the most traditional trophies in the sport of jumping globally. First presented in 1911 when King George V, who was patron of the class, gave the trophy. Now the National Anthem. Kevin Jochum, Captain Cooper for the Netherlands, the winner of the 2018 Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. They can't keep the cup, but what they can keep is these prestigious Longines timepiece presented to the winner of the Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. The first 5-star win for Kevin Jochums and Captain Cooper. His birthday on Sunday, when he'll be taking part in the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup. What a start to his weekend. What a start to a lovely career, which is sure to be. And here comes the solid gold trophy. Buried in Italy during the war years when the competition didn't take place, after it had been won by Conte Alessandro Bertoni Casago. He won the trophy in 1939. He took it home and buried it during the war, and then presented it back to Great Britain in 1947, when it was won then by France by Pier Giancarlo Doriolo. The history of that wonderful trophy, 1911 year one, 2018 won by Kevin Jochums, Captain Cooper for the Netherlands. Solid gold, about £250,000 in value, and that's the lovely Captain Cooper. Look at that intelligent head. As Captain John Roach, Director of Jumping for the FEI, comes forward to congratulate Kevin Jochums. Just saying, what a lovely intelligent head Captain Cooper has got. Just an 11-year-old Dutch bred. Proud athletes, both equine and human. Well, that's where we traditionally see the finish our broadcast here. A wonderful pat for Captain Cooper, a tremendous performance for Kevin Jochums. The Dutch take their second Longines BHS King George V Gold Cup. A fabulous performance. From us here in Hickstead is goodbye until Sunday. Thank you for joining us.